I'm Joe Senungetuk, and I was born at Wales, Alaska, in a Iñupiaq. Place name of that would be Kiŋigin, and that means roughly the high place, because there's a mountain behind it, and that's why it has that Iñupiaq name. I was born in 1940, and I understand it was a difficult childbirth because the cord was wrapped around my neck twice, and she had to go to the hospital after that. And I assigned myself the job of a self-portrait, and I put into the background various news articles from Tender Times, that was a native-owned Alaskan newspaper that I subscribed to, and I still have quite a few of those newspaper copies at home. But I've always been like a classroom artist when I was growing up in Nome. Teachers asked me to draw portraits of for instance, of Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, two of their favorite subjects for me to illustrate. During the Cold War, which Wales went through, believe it or not, because during the war, everyone was forced to draw their drapes down in order to not let any light enter. A lot of people don't realize that Wales is on the western tip of the Seward Peninsula, so the mileage between Wales and Siberia is not that far. In fact, it's about a little over 50 miles to their coastline. Before the war happened, I remember they were used to visiting us in their skin boats, and all of that was closed down afterwards because they couldn't get released by the government to visit anymore. And I was stationed at Fort Richardson as a last several months of my tenure in the Army. Native people were recognized as kloochies, whatever that means. I don't even understand where that comes from, except that's a nickname that Army prejudiced people, or people just not aware of who the native people living in Anchorage are. They would call me such names as alphabet because they couldn't forever. They never realized what um, the long name on my fatigues and uniforms said about me. I was mistaken as a well-educated Chinese or Vietnamese or other Asian races, all except being from Alaska where they were. The Army is a well-known part of Alaska, and a lot of people don't realize if you're in the services yourself, you're apt to be considered a klooch. That's what I write about in Give or Take a Century, about all the prejudices that I grew up with. I still am considered somewhat of an anomaly because of being educated. I realized in the service that I was more educated than my following non-commissioned officers. And when that art print was being made by me, I was thinking about all of the concentrated efforts of media and so on, all of a sudden being impacted by the oil discovery. And that was a huge difference as a way of reflecting on Native history. All of a sudden, people were talking about the goings-on of Iñupiaq people, especially in Barrow, and we began learning of their ways of transitioning to business people. AFN movement got started then, and Martha and I do not agree that that is a wonderful happening, because if it were, they would speak about Native power and Native issues more, but they keep quiet about that, and we don't understand the actual reasons why they do that, except it must be because of them being prejudiced against their own people. I don't know. What we are aware of today is that we wish that there were more follow-ups on Native rights and Native issues and languages and arts, such as they are in Japan. Also in other countries, like the Scandinavian countries.